what we build and manifest in the physical, that has an effect in the spiritual realm. And what occurs in the spiritual realm has an effect on the physical realm. So if you are studying or have studied the concept and the idea of as above, so below, and as within, so without, you most likely are studying hermetic principles and most likely witchcraft. As above, so below is a popular topic, and it's interesting to talk about. I have my own opinions. I have my own ideas. I'm sure that some of you will agree with some of the things that I say, and there's probably going to be a lot of you who disagree with most of it. But I'm just interested in sharing what I think are some interesting concepts. I read the Bible a few times. I read the Quran. I read a couple dozen witchcraft books. So I have some ideas, and I think you probably have a lot of your own ideas. I'm curious as to how many of our ideas overlap, how many of our ideas are polar opposites, and maybe some of our ideas are complementary. But what I'm not trying to be is argumentative. What is your definition of above, and what is your definition of what is below? So before we jump right into polarity and duality, I have a question for you. Not because I know the answer, but just because I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Do you think that when it comes to the English language, it makes a difference in the way that you form your sentence? Does it affect the intention of the sentence? Just a question. What am I talking about? I have a sentence in mind I would like for you to think about. I want you to come here. Here is where I want you. You should be here because I said so. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. As above, so below, so mote it be. Big difference, little difference. What do you think? When you're thinking about as above, so below, you have to contemplate polarity and duality. They're not exactly the same, but extremely similar. When I think of polarity, I think of the most obvious term when someone will say something has a polar opposite. And of course, you think of the North Pole and the South Pole. Something has a polar opposite. Up, down, right, left, hot, cold, male, female. You get the picture. But when I think of polarity, I also tend to think physical things, represented more so in the physical realm. You have the microcosm and the macrocosm. You have the elements that are in your body, and you have the elements that are in the multiverse. And polarity also makes me think of the forces of magnets, a positive and negative side of a magnet. But personally, when I contemplate duality, I think duality tends to take on a more spiritual representation of things that are not just existing in our mind, but more of the divide between the physical and the spiritual realm. The veil that is between the physical and spiritual realm creates a duality in our conscious mind, in our spirits. Duality seems to better represent for me the duality between a negative spiritual force and a positive spiritual force. I want to say something really quick too about shadow work and inner healing, because in a way it kind of touches on this topic. And what witches call shadow work, Christians call inner healing. So if you have an infected root, if you have a problem or an issue and you have something sour that has to be severed, if you have an infected root, if you cleanse yourself of that infected root, you see fruit in the physical. You see fruit. And everybody knows this tree, right? When you see this tree, oftentimes this will, for a witch, this represents as above, so below. But just meaning that what is reflected in, again, what occurs in the physical occurs in the spiritual. And I don't disagree with that concept. I'm just being open and sharing with you some of my thoughts. Instead of being here and just concerned about the underworld and what we can do with it here on earth, I like to think of Jesus, let your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Let your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, so let's talk about as within, so without. This should be fun. This is my nice little stick guy, okay? As within, so without. Whatever's in here matches what's out here. Microcosm, macrocosm. Elements, elements. Emotions, emotions. It's hard for me to discuss as within, so without bringing up meditation, because obviously whatever we have living inside here is most likely going to match what's going on in our environment. Eastern meditation teaches you to empty yourself out. Let everything go. Empty yourself. Empty yourself. What are you if you completely empty yourself? You are an empty home. You're a house that's empty that can be filled up with any spirit that's readily available. If you are an empty house, any spirit that's in the immediate proximity that you're welcoming and open to, that spirit is going to take residence here. Now, let's do biblical meditation. It tells us to fill ourselves with Holy Spirit. One Spirit, you're being filled with Holy Spirit. If you're filled with Holy Spirit, your house is completely filled up. There's nothing that can occupy this space, because your complete entire body, your whole home, your whole house, everything in your house, to the tip of your roof, to the foundation, your whole entire being is filled up with Holy Spirit. Room for no other visitors. Now, the awesome thing about being filled up with Holy Spirit is that once you're filled up with Holy Spirit, you can then help other people receive Holy Spirit. So then, as within, so without. This is my God that I'm talking to. Let your kingdom come on earth, Lord, just like it is in your third heaven. I love this tree. This tree reminds me of Jesus. I look at this tree and I think of the tree of life. I take this concept and I add my beliefs that through Holy Spirit inside of me, I can assist heaven coming down to earth. I want to work with Jesus in having heaven touch earth. The Bible tells us to meditate on all things good and beautiful.